Maryland 2014 Democratic gubernatorial forum exclusively on 1010 WOLD. Here's moderator Larry Young.
Good morning. We're going to continue with our discussion this morning with the three candidates for the Democratic nomination to be governor of the state of Maryland. Question, starting with you, Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown. It troubled our listeners that in dealing with the minimum wage, the governor saw fit to put a bill together dealing with the minimum wage, but when it came out of the legislature, it pushed the minimum wage back to 2018. I want to know, because folks want to believe that that can be reversed under the next governor. It should not have been waiting until 2018, but so much sooner.
I couldn't agree more, and that's why the O'Malley-Brown administration bill, which was a priority bill, we were going to phase in from $7.25 an hour to $10.10 an hour, the minimum wage, in 2 years. We were going to provide greater relief and increase the wage for tip workers. That too was taken out of the bill. And we're going to index it to the cost of living. In fact, if we had indexed the minimum wage to the cost of living when it was at its high in the late 1960s, it would already be closer to $10.10 than it is today. Look, right now there are 455,000 Marylanders who are making less than the minimum wage. When we increase that minimum wage, we're going to give a raise to nearly 500,000 Marylanders. It's going to boost about $500 million into our economy and create several thousand jobs. So not only is increase the minimum wage good for individuals, it's great for the economy, and studies show that. I think about that single mom, because the profile of a minimum wage worker is a 33-year-old single mom. She's working 40 hours a week if she can find it, $7.25 an hour, 52 weeks a year if she doesn't take a vacation, her kid doesn't get sick, a parent doesn't get sick, she doesn't do what all of us want to do from time to time, which is take a little time off. She's making $15,080 a year. That's below the federal poverty level. We can do better, and we will accelerate the minimum wage in a Brown-Ullman administration.
Thank you, Larry. I'm very concerned about this. The next governor will be running for re-election before the wage gets to $10.10 an hour, and she's not going to stand for that. I have a plan to make sure that we turn our minimum wage into a living wage of $16.70 an hour by 2022. That would take someone's paycheck right now who's only making $270 a week and make it $668 a week. We'll index that wage for inflation so that the cost of living doesn't eat out the value of those increases, and we will address the tipped wage worker problem. No one should be making $3.63 an hour and just hoping and praying that their tips will make up the difference. We should push that up to at least 70% of the minimum wage. Last fall, I met a woman at a homeless shelter in Montgomery County who was working a minimum wage job. She had employment, but she was homeless because her wages wouldn't allow her to keep up with the cost of living in the county. And not only did she become homeless, her child, her 8-year-old son, was put into foster care because there was no sheltering opportunity for her and her child. There is no scenario where this is okay. If you work 40 hours a week, you shouldn't be living in poverty anymore. And under a Mizir Coates administration, we'll get it done. We're not going to have a minimum wage. We're going to have a living wage and make sure that people earn the money that they deserve for a hard day's work.
Thank you, Senator. I was the first of the gubernatorial candidates to call for the increase in the minimum wage. I thought it just is not fair if you're making $7.25 an hour, you're working 40 hours a week, and you're below the federal poverty line. So yes, we will escalate that, and we will get that done in much sooner time. There's no reason why we shouldn't, and I actually think it helps businesses. It creates less turnover, and enhances employee loyalty. But the reality is, it doesn't matter what the minimum wage is if you don't have jobs. 46% of the adults in Baltimore City are out of work. We lose companies and businesses here in Baltimore every year. RG Steel, Sun Products, Solo Cup, Black & Decker, MTMD Bank. I mean, the list can go on, and now we're looking at McCormick leaving our state. So, you know, the issue is, what are we going to do about jobs? We're now 49th in the country in personal income growth out of 50. We have 4 Fortune 500 companies left. You know, we have We're now 46th in manufacturing, and that's a huge issue, because if you think about it, 2 years ago, Bethlehem Steel left here. I went and met with the workers at Bethlehem Steel. They used to employ over 30,000 people right here in Baltimore. People who actually went to school there when they were children. And I met with people that have worked there 40, 45 years, and they just want to work again. But we're 46th in adult retraining, and we don't have enough adult education opportunities for people, so they can go from almost the 200,000 people that are unemployed in Maryland now to some of the jobs that are open because they don't have the skills or retraining available.
Next. I'm troubled that there's a prediction of a voter turnout. It's going to be low, they're saying. My concern is, will something be done to reverse? Because I've seen some of you in churches, and the times I get invited, I have to tell the public the election is Tuesday, June the 24th. And here we are, within weeks of it, and this past Sunday, the same thing. So obviously, whoever put the dates of June 24th to happen, something needs to be reviewed. And so I offer this question. Do you agree? And if you do, what will you do as governor to make sure the public has a better opportunity to register and a better opportunity to get a vote in that they deserve and should have?
Larry, voting is so critical to our opportunity to make a difference, and I share your concern about the low voter turnout and the new date. Just to explain why that happened, the federal government actually required states with late primaries to move the dates up because overseas military voters had a hard time getting their ballots registered in the primary so close to when the primary and the general election were near each other. So we had to, under federal law, move that date up. This is our first election under this new date. I think that this is going to be the most challenging of all of them. Once we get into a new